Hello, namaste, good evening. Somebody was asking for a clarification on one of the videos, so let me go ahead and read this. It had to do with non-duality. So they were asking, can it shift more than once as you go along? And I was asking, can what shift more than once? And they were saying the feeling of duality, non-duality. The feeling of duality, non-duality. So I'm wondering if it's an ongoing process. Thank you. Okay. So let me just say this. The journey is such a long journey. And one transitions through so many points. You know, like I said, when the mind first starts to still and one goes into witness state, it feels so expanded that some people think it's non-duality, that they feel one with everything. You know, when the heart expansion takes place, one feels one with everything. And that could be confused with non-duality because you haven't experienced non-duality yet. So that takes place, and so one is at that point when one gets into that witness state or one gets into that expansion of bhakti, that it feels like sometimes one is in duality and non-duality. But again, that's witness state and duality, witness and duality. Okay, so one continues forward, and then when things do fall away and one actually enters into non-duality, it's possible again to have an experience of non-duality, but then when one comes out of a nirvikalpa samadhi, that sometimes people will reroute and go back into mind, because when they come out of that experience, sometimes they go back into mind and try to make try to look at it and evaluate it. And then once they do that, they constrict again into that dualistic framework of mentality. So yes, one can, for a time, be in and out of it. It could be an experience for some. For me, it wasn't the case here. When things fell away, they just fell away and it stayed blown out. But for some, yes, you can reroute and go back into persona and back and forth for a time. But even when things do fall away and one doesn't reroute, there can be at that point some very light mist of thought that might come through, not enough to pull one out. But that can take place. And then, like I said, even when one gets into non-duality, there are still kind of, like you could say, levels and layers that take place of a settling that takes place of more from a wide-eyed, just overwhelming awe, until finally things settle into a very steady point of what I call 0 point balance. That simply that is. Okay. Yeah. When it first takes place, one is kind of like that really expanded, real bliss, overwhelming bliss state. But then it goes, Sat Chidanand, truth, consciousness, bliss. One goes into finally a very settled state. Okay. So again, it is kind of a process that takes place. Okay, it's a very long journey. It's a very, very long journey. Yeah, here it was over 30, 40 years of a journey. So it was a very long journey till things deconstructed. So yeah, it's not going to happen in a year. Everybody thinks I'm going to be the one that's going to magically get it in a year. But no, it's like I said, here it was 35 years of very intense journey the whole time, just being focused and dedicated to moving forward for that. So I'm going to leave. I hope that answered what you were looking for is a clarification. So hope everyone's having a wonderful Christmas again. Namaste. Thanks for asking your question.